Well, hello everybody, and welcome to Homemakers Journal 19. I've been gone for a couple days, and I got home, and it just seemed like, even though I wasn't gone very long, and I thought I had prepped pretty well before I left, I just had things to pick up and some breakfast dishes to deal with, and there's just something about trying to focus on something like sitting down and chatting, making a video, and I just cannot do that until I have everything else under control and back in order. So am I the only one that feels that way? It's hard to move on to other things until the home is in order. At least that's kind of how I feel. But now I'm there. So my house is in order, and I'm just made myself a hot cup of tea. And I thought, yay, okay, let's sit down and let's talk. And let me share some things with you today. So I have several different things to share with you today, and I'll figure out what order I'm going to share them, I guess, as I go along. So I brought up tea, so let me share that one with you. I think it was either the last one or the previous Homemakers Journal. I showed you my new teapot, which I was so excited about, and I just have loved that thing so much. And looked at, you guys gave me a whole lot of tea recommendations, and one of them was raspberry zinger, and I went shopping to look for raspberry zinger, and I couldn't find it, and I was really disappointed. And then all of a sudden I found this. Yay. It is a fruit tea sampler, and what do you know, one of the teas in there was raspberry zinger. And so the other day I made myself a pot of that, and I absolutely love it. So I think it was Gretchen that recommended that one, so thank you, and thank you to everybody else. I haven't finished checking them all out and trying them, but right now I just made wild berry zinger, so that sounds good, smells good. I haven't even tasted it yet, though, because it's still kind of hot. But this fruit tea sampler I just picked up at the grocery store. So if you're into tea, it has country peach passion, true blueberry, black cherry, plus the wild berry zinger and the raspberry zinger. So I think it's a really nice collection of different teas. So yeah, you might want to check that out if you're a tea drinker. I love my coffee, but I have my limits. Definitely as I've gotten older, I cannot handle more than a couple cups of coffee in the morning, basically two. And then my caffeine levels are high and I am done for the day. But I still like to drink something hot during the day, especially when the weather is cool, like it has been here for the last few days. But we've had some beautiful, beautiful weather. We've had, it's been a little windy, and we've had sunny days. We even had a day that was pushing close to 70, and we thought, yay, winter's over. And then yesterday, as my husband and I were driving home, it was obvious as we looked around, there had been a huge snowstorm, and I was very unusual for us in April. In fact, they said it was like a record snowfall for the month of April in our area. Okay, so I want to kind of jump around here a little bit, but the next thing I want to share with you is asparagus, and a little trick that I do when I cook it. And I don't know, but this time of the year, the asparagus is always the best bargain, and I got it at, I think, the best price I've seen yet, and that was 98 cents for a bundle of it, and it's higher now. The last time I was at the grocery store, it was $1.49, so I was glad I grabbed some when I had the opportunity. Of course, the ideal asparagus when you go to cook them and eat them are ones that are very thin, and the bottom of the spear is not, or the stem is not too thick, because once they get too thick, they're kind of woody, and then they can be difficult to chew and whatnot. So I usually, in any case, cut off a little bit off the bottom of them. But then even the rest of that stem can be, until you get close to the top, can be a little bit tough sometimes, or stringy. And so one little trick that I have found that really works well is I take my vegetable peeler, and towards about the bottom third to 2/3, depending on how thick the asparagus is, I just peel off that outer layer, and that gives me more mileage for my asparagus and less waste. And then at that point, I just cut them up into pieces. I drizzle some oil on them, salt them, and roast them, because that's the way I like to make most of my vegetables, is roasting them. And gosh, they're so good. I really enjoyed them. It was a really nice springtime treat. Okay, I want to talk books because I love books. And I shared this one, Disciplines of a Godly Woman, in not the last Homemakers Journal, but the one previous. And I had just started the book, and I was so excited about it that I thought, oh, I've got to tell you about this book, because I think this would be something that I know a lot of you ladies would really like. I finished the book, and I absolutely loved this book. It was so encouraging and so faith-building and inspiring, and all those things that that are really valuable to us as Christian women, as godly women who are striving to be godly women. And it was really a good book. So I know a few of you have mentioned that you've either bought the book or you are planning on buying the book. If you have bought the book and you've been reading it or read it, please let me know what you think and what were some of your favorite parts of it. I would really like to know. She's an excellent author, and I haven't looked to see if she has more books or not, but I would like, throughout the book she quotes a lot of other books. And I was, every time she would make a quote from some other book, I'd be like, oh, that sounds like a good book. Oh, that sounds like a good book. And I was really excited that she had put a recommended reading list in the back of her book. And I'm going to tell you, she's got several pages of just wonderful looking books. Some of them I've read, some I've never read, some I've never even heard of. Some of them are older books, which is great. I'm just really excited to utilize that aspect of this book, and maybe find some new books and things of interest to read. So, okay, now what I want to do is share with you my latest book that I am reading. The title of this book is what grabbed my attention the most, okay? The name of the book is Almost Amish. And I just really I gravitated to that because I look at the Amish probably in an idealistic way, as I know that there are, there's pros and cons to everything, but what I look at the idealistic is the simplicity of the way that they live. And that's what she shows throughout this book, is the simplicity of how they live, and how we can pull back a little bit from where we are in this world, and take some of the good things that we see in the Amish, and obviously we're not going to get rid of our electricity, but how about spend less time on the phones? How about spend less time staring into screens, and different things like that? How about reducing our wardrobes? Do we need to have closets packed with clothes and shoes? And there's just a whole lot of areas and things that she touches on. So what I wanted to do was to just read a little bit off the back, just to give you a little bit better idea of her book, because I am right now, like I said, I just started reading it, so I have not read very much, but what I've read so far, I've enjoyed. So, at the back of her book says, something is wrong, terribly wrong, about the way we spend our time. We tweet while we work, text while we drive, and basically stare at our computer screens until we fall into bed at night. We are plugged in 24/7, and it's not just to us. Our kids spend 100 times more hours staring at a screen each week than they do playing outside, which I think is very true. I know that my daughter that lives with us, she makes a point of getting her kids out all the time. Their screen time is super limited to weekends and other occasions, but she's very good at that, and making sure that they get their lots of time spent outside. Anyway, back to the book. It's time to simplify our lives, to slow down, make faith and family the focal point, and recapture the lost art of simple living. And what group has kept simplicity, family, and faith at the center of all they say and do better than the Amish? And so that's kind of the premise of her book. So far, like I said, I've been enjoying the book, but I just wanted to throw it out there for y'all as a book recommendation, just in case that interests anybody. Okay, and in other news on our homestead, my daughter and husband and family have bought all new baby chicks, lots and lots of baby chicks. So that's kind of fun, you know, there's nothing like baby chicks, right? So her egg layers were definitely at the end of their season. They don't hardly lay anything anymore. And the chicken coop that they're in is pretty small. So they decided to build a new coop, and boy, I keep calling it the chicken mansion because my son-in-law is a construction worker. I mean, that's his trade, is construction work, and he knows how to build, and I tell you, he's doing a fantastic job. And I love the fact that my daughter gets involved, and all the grandkids have been involved in helping to build this, and it's turning out to be so good. So it won't be long when the weather warms up and the baby chicks get a little bit bigger that they will be moving into their brand new coop, and I think that's really fun, really exciting. One of the funnest things that that has happened in the last, since I've started my YouTube channel, is I get people that send me recipes, or they send me links to their favorite recipes, and I want you to know that I really love that. And I have tried to make, you know, one or two of those, and they're on my list. So if you sent me a recipe, either I've had them sent in the mail, I've even had them handwritten out, which I think is lovely. It reminds me of the old, you know, the recipe card box. Did anybody else's mother have one of those on their in their kitchen counter? You know, the little box. My mother's was, I think it was pink, and it had little flowers around it. Anyway, you open that up, and what do you know in there is all of her tried and true favorite recipes, all handwritten on little cards. I loved that. I miss those days. Obviously, printing them out of the computer is a whole lot simpler, but I do miss that. And anyway, so I get sent these recipes, and when I did a video a while back, I think it was a Homemakers Journal, and I was making, I was making peach cinnamon rolls. And I asked you guys if you had, you know, when you want to bake something, what is your favorite thing to bake? So I got sent a recipe from a very sweet lady. Her name is Candee, and she said when she likes to bake, her favorite thing to bake is her mother's recipe for date nut bread. And it just kind of struck something for me right there, because I love dates and I love, you know, nuts, and the recipe looked so simple to make, and I thought, I've got to try that. So let me tell you, ladies, this recipe is a keeper. You know, those recipes that get handed down, there's a reason that they're being handed down, right? And it's just so simple the way it was put together. You know, you pour boiling water over your dates, and you know, you add your baking soda to that, and you put your dry ingredients in, and the eggs and vanilla, and then you, after the dates have sat, you pour that in, put it in your pan, bake it. Oh my gosh, the smell was absolutely fantastic, and I enjoyed a warm piece of date nut bread that afternoon with a hot cup of tea, and I just thought it was absolutely delicious. So I am going to be sharing the recipe in the description box below. I have her permission to do that. I encourage you guys to try this if you like these kind of quick bread loaves, and you like dates and nuts. I totally recommend this recipe. It is just fantastic. And I use pecans in mine, so you can use whatever nuts you want. But the pecans, I think, really made it absolutely scrumptious. So I recommend that one for y'all. So give it a try. And if you do give it a try, make sure you come back and let me know, and that way even Candee will see that other people are enjoying her mother's recipe. I think that's fun to share recipes. And if any of you have a recipe, you know, that you would like to send me because it's a family favorite or something that you really love, or anything like that, just feel free to send it to me. You can email it. My email is in the description box below. You know, and I would just love to give it a try. Now, I'm slow at that, so don't get discouraged if you don't see my recipe come up, you know, soon after you send it to me, because sometimes it takes me a while to fit it into my rotation. So far, every recipe that somebody has taken the time to send me has looked like a keeper, so I appreciate that very much. With the weather improving, it's been a lot of fun to take more walks outside, and more enjoyable walks. I'll walk in the rain, but let's face it, that's not very enjoyable. So, but it's been great to be able to take more enjoyable walks, and there's a walking trail that's not too far from where we live that my husband and I like to go down to, and then head down towards the river, and it's just an expansive, beautiful view of the Columbia River, and I really enjoy that. And I have one of my granddaughters that anytime I say, does anybody want to go on a walk with Grandma? And she always is, will volunteer. And her with her little kitty in her backpack. That's a big thing. And we enjoy taking walks together. It's a lot of fun. All right, you guys, I think this kind of wraps up Homemakers Journal 19. And as always, I hope you found something valuable. I hope you found something useful, practical, or maybe you just got inspired in your life as a homemaker. That's kind of my desire for these Homemakers Journals, is just to share, to talk about relevant things regarding our lives as homemakers. And hope that in some way it does come across as a blessing to you. So for right now, that wraps this one up, and I will see you all in my next video. Bye-bye.